The 14th of February is synonymous with the theme of love around the world, but in Zimbabwe, it's also a day for somber reflection over the tragic passing in 2018 of iconic former Prime Minister and veteran trade unionist Dr. Tsvangirayi. Tsvangirayi succumbed to collateral cancer in 2018, having led the country's biggest opposition MDC movement from its formation in 1999. Over the years, Tsvangirayi provided the most formidable challenge to ZANU-PF's stronghold on power, forcing ruling party into a power-sharing deal after winning the first round of the 2008 presidential election. Newzim TV took time to reflect on Tsvangirayi's long fight for democracy and assess whether those left to carry the torch were doing justice to his legacy. Following Tsvangirayi's death in 2018, the opposition movement has been gripped by internal fights and power wrangling triggered by largely disagreements over the former prime minister's succession. Allegations of infiltration by the ruling ZANU-PF party saw the opposition movement falling into splinters with rival factions led by Nelson Chamisa, Thokozani Kupe, and Douglas Monzora. Through court rulings, Monzora won the battle over the party name and some assets, but the war seems to be raging as Chamisa later abandoned the MDC brand and seemingly mandate.
They thought that they taken MDC team, said, have it. They said that they taken Tsvangirayi, said, have it. They thought that they taken our headquarters, said, have the headquarters. They thought that they taken MPs, said, have those MPs. They thought that they taken our finances. Fine, share with Mr. Mnangagwa the bed. But I can tell you that it's not a bed of roses, it's a bed of thorns. It's a matter of time. They've taken literally everything, but thank God we still have ourselves. So we've lost everything except ourselves. That's why we are building on the basis of ourselves. Nothing to do with the past, nothing to do with any wrangles. If you want MDC alliance, as you have said, take it.
We spoke to Peter Mutasa, chairperson of Crisis in Zimbabwe Coalition, who said Tsvangirayi was a huge character who played a crucial role in the labor market and struggle for freedom in Zimbabwe.
So when we look at Morgan Tsvangirayi, and not just Morgan Tsvangirayi, but the leadership of labor during that era, but mainly Morgan Tsvangirayi himself as a person and as a character, we need to realize that this country was blessed with a good blessing, especially the labor movement. Morgan Tsvangirayi is a huge character. In fact, I think it's a phenomenon that occurred in the labor market. Someone who could understand and read a lot of issues, especially political economy of this country. Someone who could also be very strategic and tactical at an organizational level, and also who understands what needed to be done.
Mutasa also said those left behind had lost the analytical eye Tsvangirayi had by claiming that they are apolitical and were falling short of his fighting spirit and acumen.
We are talking of someone who was quite courageous. When we talk about the ZANU-PF regime currently, we talk about a regime that is quite brutal. But for Morgan's time, it was a menacing and brutal regime. Mugabe was someone who was untouchable and someone who was quite brutal. But for Morgan and team to stand up and challenge Robert Mugabe, not at the end of Robert Mugabe in 2017 like we saw some brigadiers and generals doing, but at his prime age, when he was commanding not just Zimbabwe but Africa, it shows a man of huge character. But what I liked most about Morgan Tsvangirayi and team is their ideological clarity. And this is the legacy that probably he left, where the labor movement should be broad and understand issues, social issues, economic issues, environmental issues, technical issues, political issues. This is a legacy that led him to gang up together with other comrades to form a formidable opposition party that has troubled ZANU-PF up to now. It is that legacy, sadly, that I think we no longer pursuing. We've fallen short of Currently, if you talk to workers and even trade union leaders for that matter, they talk about being apolitical, about being indifferent to politics. They've lost that analytical eye and analytical mind that Morgan and team had. And this is what I give them thumbs up for. They could read the science, they could read the time, they could read politics. They were not as educated as we are today. Most of the trade union leaders have degrees, MBAs and PhDs, but they had social education. They could understand things that we cannot understand. The second aspect...
Renowned author Dr. Ibo Mandaza said Tsvangirayi left a profound legacy as the pioneer of one of the biggest political movements in the country.
Tsvangirayi left a profound legacy. He was the first, he led the first formidable opposition to the ruling party in the formation of the MDC in 1999. And he equipped himself as a very brave patriot against the odds, especially from 2000 onwards, when the Zimbabwean state relied more and more on the military establishment to this day. I think he stood his ground, and he was remembered for that. As to what is left behind, I think
Mandaza bemoaned the state of the opposition MDC party, saying they are in disarray and are evidently at war with each other.
We can see that those he left behind appear to be in disarray. They're at war with each other. Right now, we don't know whether where we stand with respect to the MDC left behind, which was the eye, or is the eye of the storm in terms of the opposition party in Zimbabwe. I think it's going through trying times. We don't know where we stand at the moment with respect to the opposition movement.
2022 marks the 4th anniversary of Tsvangirayi's death, and the MDC seems to have lost the majority of its supporters to the newly founded Citizen Coalition for Change, led by Nelson Chamisa.